hard one that I've learned the hard way, and I'm still like trying to improve at myself. And this one's very much for founders, which is just problems never end. And that's okay. Here's what I've personally experienced, and I've talked to a lot of founders about this as well, where I think historically I've gotten really caught in this trap where at any moment in Reforge, it's like, if I just solve this one thing, this X problem, everything's going to get easier. That might be landing like some big hire, some executive hire, or figuring out, some major lever or defining like some strategy. But the reality is that the opposite is true. The more problems you solve, you just end up taking on bigger and bigger problems over time. And hoping it gets easier is the thing that just sets you up for this frustration, this anxiety, this stress. And I think switching to that mentality of like getting rid of that hope and more of like, if I solve this thing, I get to take on an even harder thing, I think is the thing that actually reduces the stress. And so this was one that I've also felt like for many, many years, but had a tough time finding the words for. And then Ray Dalio had this passage in one of his books that just like hit the bullseye. And so his passage, which we've actually worked into the cultural values at Reforge, is every day there's going to be problems, some big, others small, sometimes in waves, sometimes slowly, but they're never going to end. The more successful we are, the bigger our problems will be. And how we react to those problems is up to us. To achieve our goals, each individual must be a problem-solving machine. He calls it the problem-solving machine. I think there's some adaptations in there, but I thought that like captured it so well. And when I find myself getting caught in this, we just solve this one thing, life will be so much easier. I kind of return to this statement, not only to remind myself that that's not true, but to try to like switch my framing around of how to think about the problem. But learning this is like it's a grind. It's a hard mentality switch for, I think, a lot of founders.
This reminds me of a number of things. One is just, I heard someone describe basically any leadership job as your professional firefighter. You're just putting out fires all day.
It is true. It is true because like those are the things that bubble up, right? The things that are going easy, the things that are going great, do not bubble up, right? And so as a result, you end up being like this catcher for all of the problems. And I think that's why a lot of people end up in these management and leadership roles, and then they just hate them. They're not good at them, and they're not good at them because they don't like it.